I used to believe my life was simple. Not perfect, not rich, not exciting, but simple. And for a long time, I thought simple was enough. Every morning, I woke up beside Claire in our small apartment. The room was never completely quiet. I could hear traffic outside, the old air conditioner making strange noises, and Claire complaining about the blanket before I was even fully awake. Daniel. I opened one eye. What? You're doing it again. Doing what? You're stealing my blanket. I looked down. Most of the blanket was wrapped around me. I'm not stealing it. Claire stared at me. You have almost all of it. I am shedding. That is not sharing. I laughed. Fine. Take it. She pulled the blanket toward herself. Thank you. You're welcome. She turned away from me. 5 minutes later, you'll steal it again. I won't. You always do. I smiled. Maybe you should sleep closer. She turned back and looked at me. That was a terrible excuse. It was worth trying. She laughed softly. Those little moments meant everything to me. We had been together for 5 years. 5 years of mornings like that. 5 years of late-night conversations. 5 years of arguing about money. 5 years of making up after stupid fights. 5 years of talking about where we would live, what kind of house we wanted, and whether we would ever have enough money to travel the world. Sometimes I looked at Claire while she slept and wondered how I had become so lucky. She was beautiful, confident, and ambitious. I was just a man trying to build a career. I worked long hours at Blackwood Industries, hoping one day I would become a senior manager. Claire worked at a smaller company across town. She was good at her job, but she often complained that she deserved more. One evening, I came home exhausted. I dropped my bag near the door. Claire looked at me from the kitchen. You're late. I know. You said you would be home at 7. The moment Claire told me Richard Blackwood wanted to meet her, I felt proud. I thought it was good news. I thought maybe her career was finally moving forward. I had no idea that meeting would become the beginning of the worst betrayal of my life. So, when is the meeting? I asked. This afternoon. What time? 2. I checked my watch. I can take you. Claire looked at me carefully. You don't have to. I want to. Won't your boss think it's strange? I laughed. Richard already knows you're my girlfriend. She raised an eyebrow. You've talked about me? Of course. What did you say? I smiled. I told him you're smart, stubborn, and impossible to argue with. She laughed. That's what you tell people about me? It's true. You forgot beautiful. I was saving that for later. She shook her head. You're terrible. I know. For a moment, everything felt normal again. I finished my coffee, grabbed my jacket, and checked my phone. I'll pick you up after lunch. Claire nodded. Okay. Then she suddenly asked, Daniel? Yeah. Is Richard always difficult? I thought about it. He's demanding. How demanding? Very. Does he respect people? When they're useful? She became quiet. I noticed it. What? Nothing. Claire. She smiled. I said nothing. I let it go. That was something I did too often. I let things go. At 2 o'clock, I walked Claire through the glass doors of Blackwood Industries. The lobby was crowded. Employees moved quickly across the polished floor, carrying laptops and folders. Claire looked around. This place is huge. You've never been here? No. You're missing out. She smiled. It's impressive. Wait until you see Richard's office. Why? Because it looks like he owns the entire city. She laughed. You're exaggerating. I wish I were. We took the elevator to the executive floor. Claire stood beside me. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. The moment we stepped outside the building, I noticed something different about Claire. She was quiet, not nervous, not tired, just quiet. I looked at her. So what do you think? She kept walking. About what? Richard. She smiled. He's different from what I expected. I laughed. Different how? He's confident. He's my boss. Confidence is part of the job. He seems very successful. He is. How successful? I stopped walking. Claire turned toward me. What? You still here? You've asked that twice already. Asked what? How much money Richard has. She sighed. I was curious. What? Daniel, can I not ask a question? You can. Then why are you making it a big deal? I'm not. You are. I rubbed the back of my neck. I'm just surprised. What? Because you usually don't care about my boss. She looked away. I was nervous. Nervous? Yes. About what? About meeting someone important. I smiled. You handled it well. She looked back at me. You really think so? Absolutely. She smiled. Thank you. I started walking again. For a few seconds, everything seemed normal. Then Claire asked, Is Richard married? I looked at her. No. Was he ever? He was married. What happened? They divorced. When? A few years ago. Why? I don't know. Do you know anything about his ex-wife? I laughed. Claire, what is this? What? You're asking about his marriage now. She rolled her eyes. I was just curious. You've said that 3 times. Because you keep questioning me. I smiled. Okay, Fina. She continued walking. I followed. Do you know where he lives? I stopped again. Seriously? She turned. What now? You've asked about his money, marriage, divorce, and house. She frowned. So nothing. You're making me feel weird. I don't mean to. Then stop. I took a breath. She looked at me for a moment. Then she smiled. The next morning, I woke up before Claire. For a few seconds, I simply watched her sleep. Her face looked peaceful. Nothing seemed wrong. I almost forgot the strange questions from the night before. Then her phone vibrated. Claire reached for it before I could even move. She checked the screen. Her expression changed. Just for a second. Then she turned the phone face down. I noticed. Good morning, I said. She looked at me. Morning. Who texted you? She smiled. Work. Again. Yes. At 7 in the morning? Some people actually work early. I laughed. Okay. She got out of bed. I watched her walk toward the bathroom. Something inside me felt uncomfortable. I tried to ignore it. At breakfast, Claire barely touched her food. You're not hungry? I am. You haven't eaten anything. I'll eat later. I looked at her. Is something wrong? No. You seem distracted. I have a lot on my mind. About the meeting? She looked up. What meeting? Yesterday's meeting. Oh. She looked away. I've just been thinking about the opportunity. You should be excited. I am. Then why do you look worried? Because I don't know what will happen. I smiled. You'll do great. She nodded. Thanks. I reached across the table. Claire. She looked at me. I mean it. I'm proud of you. She smiled. I know. Then her phone vibrated again. She immediately picked it up. This time, I couldn't help myself. Who is it? She stared at the screen. No one. I frowned. That's the second time you've said that. She locked the phone. Daniel, please. Please what? Stop asking. I leaned back. I'm just asking. And I'm telling you it's nothing. Her voice was sharper than usual. I went quiet. A few seconds passed. Then she sighed. I'm sorry. It's okay. I just have a lot going on. I understand. She reached for my hand. I don't want us to fight. Neither do I. She smiled. Good. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept staring at the ceiling while Claire lay beside me. Her breathing was slow. Mine wasn't. I kept thinking about everything that had happened since the meeting with Richard. Her questions, her strange messages, the way she looked at her phone, the way she suddenly cared about money, houses, cars, and Richard's private life. I turned toward her. Claire. She didn't answer. Are you awake? A few seconds passed. Then she whispered yes. Can we talk? About what? Us. She sighed. What about us? Are you happy? I told you I am. I know. Then why are you asking again? Because something feels different. She turned toward me. Different how? I don't know. Then maybe you're imagining it. Maybe. She reached for my hand. Daniel, nothing is wrong. I held her fingers. I believe you. She smiled faintly. Good. She turned away again. I closed my eyes. But sleep still wouldn't come. After several minutes, I quietly got out of bed. I walked to my desk. I opened the drawer. The small black box was still there. I picked it up and stared at it. This ring had become a promise in my mind. A promise I had never spoken. I opened the box. The diamond caught the soft light from a lamp. I smiled. I remember the day I bought it. I had stood in the jewelry store for almost an hour. The salesman had asked, "Is it for someone special?" I had laughed. Very special. Engagement. I had nodded. He smiled. You look nervous. I am. That's normal. I had looked at the ring again. I just want everything to be perfect. The salesman had said, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be honest. I had remembered those words. Now, sitting alone in my apartment, they felt different. I whispered, I love you, Claire. Behind me, I heard the bedroom door move. I quickly closed the box. Claire stood in the doorway. What are you doing? I turned around. Nothing. 3 days had passed since I introduced Claire to Richard. 3 days. That was all it took for my life to begin changing in ways I could never have imagined. That morning, I was sitting at the kitchen table, drinking coffee and checking my phone when Claire walked into the room. She looked unusually serious. I lowered my phone. What happened? She didn't answer immediately. I looked at her again. Claire. She pulled out a chair and sat across from me. I need to tell you something. My stomach tightened. What is it? She took a slow breath. I quit my job. I blinked. You what? I resigned. When? This morning. Hier. Why? I was tired of working there. I put my coffee down. But you liked your job. I used to. What changed? She looked away. I just realized I want something different. I tried to smile. Okay, that's not necessarily bad. She didn't smile back. I'm looking for something better. Did you get another offer? She hesitated. Not exactly. I frowned. What does that mean? It means I'm figuring things out. I leaned back in my chair. Claire, you can't just quit your job without a plan. I can. I know you can. I'm saying it's risky. She crossed her arms. I don't need you lecturing me. I'm not lecturing you. It sounds like it. I took a breath. I'm worried about you. I can take care of myself. I know. Then stop acting like I can't. I stayed quiet for a moment. Then one question came into my mind. Did Richard offer you a position? Her expression changed immediately. What? Richard? Did he offer you something? She stared at me. Why are you interrogating me? I felt my chest tighten. I'm not interrogating you. That is exactly what you're doing. I asked one question. You've been asking questions since I met him. Because everything has changed since that meeting. Her eyes hardened. Maybe everything changed because I finally REA. That evening, I came home expecting things to feel normal again. I was wrong. The moment I opened the apartment door, I saw Claire standing beside the bedroom with an open suitcase. I stopped. Claire. She didn't answer. I slowly closed the door behind me. What are you doing? She folded a shirt and placed it inside the suitcase. Packing. My heart dropped. Why? I need some time away. Away. Yes. For how long? I don't know. I walked closer. Did something happen? She shook her head. Nothing happened. Then why are you packing? I need space, Daniel. Hier. We can talk about whatever is bothering you. I don't want to talk. Then tell me what you need. I need to be alone. I felt panic rising inside me. Did I do something? She stopped folding her clothes. No. Then why are you leaving? Because I need to think. About what? About my life. I swallowed. About us. She didn't answer. That silence hurt more than any argument. I stepped closer. Claire, look at me. She finally looked up. What? Please don't do this. Do what? Walk away without explaining. I already explained. You said you need space. Yes. That isn't an explanation. She sighed. You want every answer immediately. Because you're the woman I love. Her eyes became wet. Daniel. I reached for her hand. She pulled away. I froze. Why did you do that? I just need space. Are you leaving me? She looked down. I don't know. My chest tightened. You don't know? No. I tried to remain calm. Is there someone else? She looked at me. No. The answer came too quickly. I believed her. At least for a few more minutes. I sat on the edge of the bed. Then stay. I can't. Why? Because I don't feel the same anymore. Hier. What does that mean? She closed the suitcase. I think I need to leave tonight. Claire, please. She looked at me for several SE. Spent that entire night sitting on the edge of my bed. I didn't sleep. I kept staring at the empty space where Claire's suitcase had been. Every few minutes, I checked my phone. Nothing. No call. No message. I finally typed. Where are you? I stared at the message. Then I deleted it. I typed another. Please tell me you're safe. I deleted that one too. I didn't want to sound desperate. But inside, I was falling apart. At around 2 in the morning, my phone finally vibrated. I grabbed it immediately. It was a message from an unknown number. Stop looking for Claire. I stared at the screen. My hands became cold. I typed. Who is this? No answer. I called the number. It went straight to voicemail. I sat there, confused and angry. Then another message arrived. This time, there was an address. I recognized the building. It was one of the most expensive residential towers in the city. I had passed it many times. I knew people like me didn't live there. I searched the address online. My stomach turned. The building was owned by a company connected to Richard Blackwood. You whispered. I tried calling Claire. Straight to voicemail. I called again. Nothing. I couldn't stay home. I grabbed my jacket and drove there. When I arrived, I stood across the street and looked up at the building. Every window seemed to glow. I felt like I was looking at another world. A world Claire had suddenly entered without me. I walked toward the entrance. A security guard stopped me. Can I help you? I'm looking for Claire Morgan. He checked his tablet. I am sorry. I can't give out resident information. She just moved here. I still can't help you. Please. He looked at me. Do you have an appointment? No. Then you can't go upstairs. I stepped back. Phoenix. I stood outside for several minutes. Then I saw a black car pull into the underground entrance. I recognized it immediately. Richard's car. My heart started pounding. Woke up the next morning with my phone vibrating beside me. I opened my eyes. For a moment, I forgot what had happened. Then I remembered Claire. I grabbed my phone. There were dozens of notifications. Messages. Missed calls. Social media alerts. I frowned. What happened? I opened the first notification. Then I froze. There was a photograph of Claire. She was standing beside Richard. They were smiling. I stared at the screen. No. I opened another post. Then another. Everywhere I looked, there were photographs. Claire wearing an expensive dress. Richard standing beside her. Claire holding his arm. Claire smiling beside him. My hand started shaking. Then I saw the headline. Blackwood Industries CEO announces engagement to Claire Morgan. I couldn't breathe. I read it again. Then again. Engagement. My voice sounded strange. I dropped the phone onto the bed. I couldn't understand it. Yesterday, Claire had been my girlfriend. Yesterday, I had been planning to marry her. Now she was engaged to my boss. I picked up the phone again. My best friend Maya called. I answered. Maya. Daniel, are you okay? No. I just saw the news. I don't understand. Where are you? Home. Don't go anywhere. Why? Because you're not thinking clearly. I laughed bitterly. I'm not thinking at all. She went silent. Then she asked, Did Claire tell you? No. Nothing. Nothing. Daniel. What? She must have planned this. I closed my eyes. I don't know. You need to stay calm. How am I supposed to stay calm? I know this hurts. She was my girlfriend. I know. For 5 years. I know. And now she's engaged to my boss. I know. I looked at the screen again. Another photograph appeared. Claire was wearing a diamond ring. My stomach turned. Maya whispered, Daniel, please don't do anything stupid. I won't. Promise me. I promise. After we ended the call, I sat alone. Then Richard's words stayed between us. She has chosen me. I stared at him. Did you plan this? Richard didn't answer immediately. He walked toward his desk and sat down. Daniel, you need to understand something. Understand what? Claire is an adult. I laughed bitterly. Don't give me that. It's the truth. You knew she was leaving me. I knew she was unhappy. How long? Richard looked at me. That isn't important. It is to me. He remained silent. I stepped closer. Did you talk to her before I introduced you? Richard's expression didn't change. Yes. My heart sank. How long? A few weeks. I felt my hands tighten. A few weeks. Yes. And you never told me? It wasn't my responsibility. I stared at him. She was my girlfriend, and she made her own choice. I shook my head. You were my boss. I still am. You knew I was going to marry her. Richard looked at me. I didn't know that. I laughed. Maybe you didn't. I pointed toward the window. But you knew she was leaving me. Yes. Why? She wanted a different life. And you could give it to her. I can give her opportunities you couldn't. Those words cut deeper than I expected. I swallowed. So that's what this is about. Richard said nothing. Money. She wanted security. And you gave her that. Yes. I looked down. For 5 years, I had believed love mattered more than money. Now I wasn't sure. I looked at Richard again. Does she love you? He paused. Then he answered calmly. She chose me. That isn't what I asked. Richard didn't respond. I laughed softly. Exactly. He leaned back. Daniel, don't make this harder than it needs to be. Harder. My voice cracked. You took my girlfriend. No. He looked directly at me. She left you. I stood there silently. He was right. That was the part that hurt most. Claire had made the choice herself. Richard hadn't dragged her away. She had walked away. Drove home without knowing what I was going to do when I got there. The whole drive felt unreal. Every traffic light seemed too bright. Every car around me seemed too loud. I kept hearing Claire's voice in my head. I don't think I love you anymore. Then I remember the photograph from the news. Claire beside Richard, the diamond ring on her finger. I tightened my grip on the steering wheel. No, I said it quietly. I didn't want to believe any of it. When I finally reached our apartment, I sat inside my car for several minutes. I didn't want to go upstairs. I knew what was waiting for me. Silence. Memories. Empty spaces. I finally forced myself out of the car. When I opened the apartment door, I stopped. Claire. I said her name without thinking. No answer came. I closed the door slowly. For 5 years, I had walked through that door and expected to hear her voice. Sometimes she would shout from the kitchen, "Daniel, you're late." Sometimes she would call from the bedroom, "Can you help me?" Sometimes she would simply smile when I came home. Now there was nothing. I looked toward the hallway. Her shoes were gone. I walked into the bedroom. The closet looked different. Almost half of it was empty. Her dresses were gone. Her jackets were gone. Even the small bag she always complained about carrying was gone. I opened the bathroom cabinet. Empty. I walked into the kitchen. Her favorite mug was gone. I stared at the empty space. "That was your favorite." My voice sounded weak. I sat down at the kitchen table. For a moment, I remembered one of our old arguments. "You keep using my mug. You have 10 mugs. That one is mine. Then hide it." I shouldn't have to hide my own mug. I had laughed. She had pretended to be angry. Now, even that stupid mug felt important. I stood up and walked toward my desk. My hand rested on the drawer. I knew exactly what was inside. I opened it. The small black ring box was stayed on the floor with Ethan beside me. Neither of us spoke for a while. Finally, I looked at him. "Tell me everything." Ethan frowned. "Everything about what?" "About Claire." He sighed. "I don't want to make this worse." "It can't get worse." He looked at me. "You're sure?" "Yes." He leaned back against the wall. "Okay." I waited. "What did you notice?" Ethan hesitated. "She changed." "When?" "About a year ago." I frowned. "A year?" "Yes." "Why didn't I notice?" "You were working all the time." "I was working for us." "I know." "Then what changed?" She started talking about money more. I looked down. "How much more?" "Enough that I noticed." I remembered one evening when Claire and I had been watching television. She had pointed at a luxury apartment on the screen. "Imagine living there." I had laughed. "We could never afford that." She had looked at me. Not with that attitude. I had smiled. "I'll work harder." She had sighed. "That's all you ever say." At the time, I thought she was frustrated. Now I wondered what she had really meant. Ethan continued. "She also started comparing you to other men." My jaw tightened. "Who? I don't know their names." "What did she say?" "She said some of her friends were dating men who could give them better lives." I closed my eyes. I remember Claire saying, "Some men know how to make their women feel secure." I had answered, "I'm trying." She had replied, "I know." Now I understood the disappointment behind those words. I looked at Ethan. "Anything else?" He nodded. "She talked about Richard." My heart stopped. "Before the meeting?" "Yes." "How long before?" "I don't know." I stood up. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't think it was serious." "What did she say?" Ethan looked uncomfortable. "She asked whether Richard was rich." I laughed bitterly. "Of course she did." "She asked what kind of house he had." I looked away. "Of course." She stared at my phone after the call ended. "Call her back," Ethan said. I tried. I pressed the number. The call went straight to voicemail. I tried again. Nothing. Maya looked at me. Maybe she's scared. Scared of what? Claire. Richard. Losing her job. I paced across the room. She said she had proof. Then we need to find out what she knows. I stopped. What if she's lying? Ethan shook his head. Why would she risk calling you? I don't know. Maya looked at me. Did she sound nervous? Yes. How nervous? Very. I looked at the phone again. She said she shouldn't be talking to me. Ethan crossed his arms. That means someone doesn't want you to know. I felt my stomach tighten. Boo, you already know the answer. I didn't want to say Richard's name. But I knew. Richard. The room went silent. I sat down. What if this started before I introduced them? Maya sat beside me. Then you need proof. I need Claire to tell me the truth. Will she? I thought about her face, her voice, the way she had walked away. I don't know. My phone suddenly vibrated. I looked at the screen. It was an email. No sender name I recognized. Subject: you deserve to know. My heart began pounding. I opened it. There was one sentence. Don't trust what you were told. Look at the photograph. There was an attachment. I stared at it. Should I open it? Ethan leaned closer. Do it. I clicked. The photograph appeared. At first, I didn't understand what I was seeing. Then I saw Claire. My breathing stopped. She was sitting across from Richard in an expensive restaurant. They weren't standing near each other by accident. They were having dinner. I zoomed in. Claire was smiling. Richard was smiling too. Maya whispered, "When was this taken?" I looked at the timestamp. My hands went cold. 3 weeks before the meeting. Ethan stepped closer. Are you sure? I nodded. It's right there. I looked at T. Couldn't stop looking at the photograph. Even after I closed my laptop, I could still see Claire sitting across from Richard. 3 weeks before I introduced them. 3 weeks. That date kept repeating inside my head. I looked at Ethan. I need to know where that restaurant is. Why? Because I want to know who was there. Ethan shook his head. You're thinking about going there? Yes. Maya immediately said, Daniel, wait. I looked at her. What? You're hurt. I know. You're angry. I know that too. And that's exactly why you shouldn't rush. I walked toward the window. I spent 5 years believing I knew Claire. You don't have to solve everything tonight. You don't. Why? Because every answer I find creates another question. Ethan stood up. Then start with Laura. I turned around. She said she had proof. Exactly. I grabbed my phone. I'll call her again. I dialed the number. Once. Twice. 3 times. Nothing. I left a message. Laura, this is Daniel. Please call me back. I won't tell anyone you contacted me. I just need to know the truth. I ended the call. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Then Maya asked, what exactly did Claire say when she left? I looked at her. She said she didn't love me anymore. Maya lowered her eyes. Did she give you any other reason? She said she wanted a different life. Ethan frowned. A different life. I nodded. She talked about money. Luxury apartments. Rich people. Maya sighed. I remember. I looked at her. You remember what? She once told me she was tired of waiting for you to become successful enough. My chest tightened. She said that. Yes. I laughed quietly. I worked 12-hour days. I know. I was saving money. I know. I was planning to propose. Maya looked at me. Did you ever tell her? No. Why? I wanted it to be a surprise. Ethan suddenly asked, where's the ring? I looked toward the desk. INSEE. I arrived at the old cafe 10 minutes early. I chose a table near the window and kept looking at the entrance. Every time the door opened, my heart jumped. I checked my phone. No message from Laura. I whispered, please come. I needed answers. I needed something solid. Something I could hold on to. At exactly 10, the cafe door opened. Laura walked inside. I recognized her from the few times I had seen her at Claire's office. She looked nervous. She looked around before approaching me. Daniel? I stood. Laura? She nodded. Can I sit? Of course. She sat across from me. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. Then I asked, why did you call me? She looked toward the window. Because I couldn't keep quiet anymore. About Claire? Yes. And Richard? She nodded. My stomach tightened. What do you know? She lowered her voice. I saw them together before the meeting. I know about the photograph. Her eyes widened. You received it? Yes. Who sent it? I don't know. She looked frightened. That means someone else knows. Laura, please. Tell me everything. She took a deep breath. I started noticing Claire spending time away from work. When? About a month before you introduced her to Richard. I leaned forward. Where was she going? I don't know at first. Then what changed? She started receiving private calls. From Richard? I can't prove that. But you suspected him. Yes. Why? Because one afternoon, I saw her leave our office building with him. My heart sank. Did she know you saw them? I don't think so. What happened after that? They went to a restaurant. The same restaurant in the photograph. Yes. What were they doing? Talking. About what? I don't know. Laura. She looked at me. I wasn't sitting at their table. Then why did you contact me? Because I heard something afterward. What? She hesitated. Claire told S.